The first place they try to take from you is not always your body. Sometimes it is your mind. Because if they can get into your mind, they can begin to interfere with how you hear your own spirit, how you understand your own body, and how you interpret reality. That is why manipulation is so dangerous. It does not always begin with someone touching your life directly. It begins with someone teaching you to doubt what is happening inside you. You feel uneasy, but they say you are overthinking. You feel hurt, but they say you are too sensitive. You feel drained, but they say you are selfish. You feel unsafe, but they say you are dramatic. You feel God troubling you about something, but they say you are rebellious, fearful, bitter, proud, or out of order. And slowly, your mind becomes a courtroom where your own perception is always on trial. That is how manipulation begins. Not always by force, by confusion. Because the mind is the middle place. It stands between the spirit and the body. The spirit may sense something, right? Your body may react to something. Your chest tightens, your stomach drops, your peace leaves, your sleep changes, your nervous system starts speaking. But if your mind has been trained to dismiss those signals, you will override what your whole being is trying to tell you. This is why people who seek to dominate others target the mind. Because the mind is the holy grail of manipulation. Because once they can shape how you think, they can influence what you permit. Once they can shape what you believe, they can influence what you tolerate. Once they can shape how you interpret pain, they can keep you in situations that are destroying you. Once they can shape your self-perception, they can lower your standards without ever saying, lower your standards. That is the strategy. They do not just want your obedience. They want your agreement. They do not just want your silence. They want you to believe your silence is wisdom. They do not just want your submission. They want you to believe your self-erasure is holiness. They do not just want your access. They want you to believe they are entitled to it. They do not just want you trapped. They want you to call the trap love. And for that to happen, they must work on your mind. They must make you mistrust your own signals. They must make you interpret harm as correction, control as care, pressure as passion, inconsistency as process, disrespect as honesty, fear as respect, self-abandonment as sacrifice. And if they can do that long enough, your inner world begins to split. Your spirit knows something is wrong. Your body knows something is wrong. But your mind keeps explaining it away. And that division is exhausting because health requires harmony. Your spirit, your mind, and your body were not designed to live in constant contradiction. You were not created to sense danger spiritually, feel distress spiritually, and then use your mind to argue yourself back into the same place. You were not created to keep calling your body dramatic when it is trying to protect you. You were not created to call your discernment fear when it is trying to warn you. You were not created to keep using logic to override truth. But manipulation depends on that disconnection. It needs you separated from yourself. It needs your mind arguing against your spirit. It needs your thoughts dismissing your body. It needs your reasoning working harder to defend the person harming you than to protect the person being harmed. And that person is you. That is why grounding matters, because how much of you they get depends on how grounded you are. If you are not grounded in truth, they can give you a version of reality and you may accept it. If you are not grounded in identity, they can give you their version of you and you may become it. If you are not grounded in discernment, they may give you spiritual language and you may confuse it for God. If you are not grounded in your body, they can convince you that your discomfort is nothing. And if you are not grounded in your values, they can pressure you into choices that betray your soul. And this is where many women have been captured. Not because they were foolish, no, but because they were ungrounded. They had compassion, but no boundaries. They had faith, but no discernment. They had softness, but no protection. They had love, but no self-trust. They had patience, but no truth. They had a conscience, but it had been trained to feel guilty for saying no. And when you are ungrounded like that, manipulative people do not have to overpower you. They only have to disorient you. They only have to make you unsure, unsure of what you saw, unsure of what you felt, unsure of what you know, unsure of what God showed you, unsure of whether your boundary is fair, unsure of whether your pain matters, unsure of whether your no is allowed. And once you become unsure enough, you become easier to lead away from yourself. And that is why clarity is power. Clarity is not just knowing what happened. Clarity is being able to remain loyal to truth when someone is pressuring you to betray it. Clarity is being able to say, I felt that, I saw that, that happened, that hurt me, that was not okay, without needing the person who harmed you to agree before you believe yourself. That is grounding. Grounding is not arrogance. Grounding is not stubbornness. Grounding is not refusing correction. Grounding is internal alignment. It is when your spirit, mind, and body stop living like strangers. Your spirit senses, your body signals, your mind listens, tests, discerns, and responds wisely, not reactively, wisely. That is health. That is wholeness. That is what manipulation tries to destroy, because a grounded woman is difficult to manage. She can be kind without being gullible, soft without being accessible to harm, faithful without being spiritually manipulated, loving without self-abandoning, patient without becoming passive, forgiving without reopening unsafe doors, respectful without surrendering her conscience. She's not easy to confuse because she knows the difference between pressure and truth. And if you have been manipulated, you may need to rebuild that harmony. You may need to stop rushing past your own signals. You may need to stop laughing off the discomfort. You may need to stop explaining away the heaviness. You may need to stop making excuses for the person whose presence keeps making you feel smaller, foggier, weaker, and less connected to yourself. You may need to ask, what is my body saying? What is my spirit discerning? What is my mind trying to explain away? Why am I arguing with truth? Because truth would require a decision. Where have I accepted someone else's interpretation over my own lived reality? Those questions are not paranoia. They are recovery. Because some of you are not confused because the truth is absent. You are confused because truth has been buried under someone else's narrative, but it is still there, under the guilt, under the fear, under the spiritual pressure, under the need to be liked, under the habit of explaining everything away. Truth is still there, and your healing may begin when you stop treating your own inner witness like an enemy. You are not crazy because your body reacted. No. You are not dramatic because your peace left. No. You are not rebellious because your spirit resisted. You are not difficult because your mind finally started asking better questions. You are becoming grounded again. And once you become grounded, manipulation loses access. Not because people stop trying. Nope. But because you stop being easy to separate from yourself. This is Redefine Your Narrative. And maybe the narrative you need to redefine is this: my mind is not a doorway for manipulation. It is a place of discernment, truth, and holy alignment. Read my book, The Architecture of Peace. It is a deep dive into this topic we've just discussed. Thank you. God bless you.